reaction that business owners have when they truly understand what their culture is versus what they think it is. They're always shocked. Apple and Google, they also have it right. Apple has an unbelievable culture of fanatic fans all over the planet. Hi, this is Barry Saltzman. I am the host of Culture Shock. I am extremely excited to have Nicole from HRBoost here today.
Thank you.
So Nicole, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
For the last few episodes, we've been talking a lot about culture, the impact it has on businesses. Very excited today to get Nicole's perspective because you are a service provider.
I am.
And you get to see the clients from a different perspective than they see themselves.
I try, yes.
So take a minute, tell us about yourself, what you do for your business, and kind of why culture is important to you.
Yeah, well, my business is HR outsourcing. I consult in the middle market essentially, and we provide services that essentially align business strategy to HR strategy. So start there, but really for me it's all about people. People fuel businesses, people take businesses forward, people can be the crux of a business, right? So it all comes down to people.
So how long have you been doing this now?
Oh my goodness, my entire adult career. I landed in HR by accident before I even knew what it was. When somebody else saw that in me after I gave them a presentation, they said, Nicole, where are you in our business? After I knocked on their door fearlessly and gave my presentation. And it was pre-Y2K, H-1B visas at the door, and you're sitting going, they're stacking up all the H-1B visas at the door, and nobody's showing them around, and they sit there for hours, and I just think that's wrong. Somebody should do something about this. So I created this orientation onboarding program, pitched it to the guy who ran the place, and he looks at me and he goes, where do you sit? And I said, at the front desk. And he goes, you totally belong in human resources. And at that time I didn't even know what it was. Looking back, it's hysterical. They literally, Barry, they put me on planes, flew me around the Midwest, and I was out there orienting and onboarding the companies they'd acquire throughout the Midwest.
That's exciting.
It is, and it's definitely where I got some of my foundation.
So when you hear the word culture, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
People.
And bad culture?
Lack of communication.
And great culture?
Clarity. People coming together in harmony. Performing together. Working on each other's strengths.
Awesome. So culture by default, culture by design, what does that mean to you?
Culture by default to me is something that most businesses are stuck in right now, which is every single person, right, Barry? You and I, we are hardwired with what we bring to the table, our lens, our perspective, our innate strengths. There's thought leaders on this, Marcus Buckingham, for example, somebody like that. We come in, we get hired, we land in a business, people seem to forget, yeah, you're good at that, but what are you going to do naturally? And you're always going to gravitate back to that, right? Your behaviors, your innate behaviors. Behaviors become values enacted, right? These values become those behaviors enacted. And what happens is most businesses start with, yeah, let's just have our core values. Let's do this and throw it up on the wall. But what they forget is that values are driven from the behaviors that come from the people. And have we had a conversation to really understand what those things are? We bring all these people together in a melting pot in business and hire them. And if we don't have good discussions and framework and understanding around how our teams are engineered and brought together from that standpoint, that's culture by default. Because people just plug themselves in. And sometimes there's conflicts.
So when you start with a new client and you meet the team, maybe talk to some of the employees, and let's assume you intuitively sense that the culture is just not working properly. Mm-hmm. How do you have that conversation with the business owner? What do you say to them to get them to be enlightened with the concept of culture?
I think the first thing I like to do is I love to ask a business owner, where are they trying to go with their business? That's the first thing, because some people are just happy with their business status quo. Other people have great vision, great ideas, and great direction of where they want to take their business. And my question is great, do the people here know that you're into this? And then the second thing is, do they feel a part of it? So when you start with a business owner, the next thing I want to know is, have you actually taken a pulse of the people, right? Have you gotten do the people feel tied to where you're taking them? And I love to start with a baseline pulse of a business.
Kind of the voice of the people concept?
Yeah, truly just a qualitative, quantitative metric, right? Of, do these people actually feel what this leader's taking them towards? Do they feel a part of it at all? Have they heard it at all? Do they value it? Because if they don't, then there's a huge breakdown in terms of our communication platform. And to me, everything that I do in HR should reinforce it, should communicate it, should build on it, and should be tied to the strategy of this founder, this leader.
Do you find that the business owners are open to making the changes once you go out and get the voice of the people and give them some data telling them the culture might not be what they thought it was?
You know, that's a great question, actually. I think a lot of people get out there and they take pulse, right? Some people even think they can do it for free on SurveyMonkey and just ask people how they feel. And what happens is when they come back from that, they didn't necessarily correlate it to the true metrics that drive performance in businesses. Trust, collaboration, participation, right? Do people actually have this going on in their business? And they'll get the pulse, and a lot of business leaders get the report, and sometimes they don't like the answers, right? And where that gets off course is when they don't do something about it, when they don't go to transparency and actually own it and stand in front of their people and say, this is what you said, this is what I heard, this is what we're going to do about it, right? A lot gets lost in just taking the pulse and then where we're going with it.
So having the tool gives you the data. Now you've got to take that data, turn it into action. How much of your time is spent kind of coaching, guiding, helping the client implement new ideas to improve their culture?
It depends on the clients that I work with, right? Some clients are just very new in building their businesses that I have. I actually have some great clients with hundreds of employees that we actually go in and we actually are trying to bridge cultures, transform cultures, change behaviors, absolutely bring light to the people here of the journey that they're on with this leader. So a lot of my time is spent in that. And in fact, it's the richest work that I do. It's something that I love to do, right? That to me is the joy, because my vision of what my business is, is to bring joy and purpose to people through their work, including the CEOs I serve. CEOs can be very frustrated sometimes in their HR implementation. And so if I can actually help the person over here feel joy and purpose tied to this leader's joy and purpose and bring them together, how powerful is that?
Right. So you recently became certified as a culture coach.
I did.
And I know many members of your organization have become certified.
Yes.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So what impact has that had on your culture of your company?
You know, at HRBoost, I really pride myself on making sure that we don't just preach it, we live it, right? So at my team, I actually can sit them down around a table and I say, why are you here and why do you work for me? And I hope it's something that came from their heart too. And we actually did that, and it's on our wall, and I revisit it quarterly and daily and make sure that everybody's as fired up about what we're doing as I am.
So you obviously teach and help companies hire and recruit for themselves.
Yes.
How do you do that for yourself? So when you go to add, as your business continues to grow, you're going to need more people. What are you looking for when you try to hire that perfect person for your organization?
I really look for people who are understanding that we're not just about compliance. Yeah, we can do business asset protection, right? But really, I want people who understand that we're really trying to reinforce business leaders so they can grow and scale their businesses. Right? If it's done properly, we can actually fuel a business to where they can scale and grow, and not just do it for the sake of that, but they can actually become a best place to work. And I love meeting any business owner that wants to be a best place to work, that wants people to go on the journey with them, not just plug themselves in and have a job, but like, let's go places, let's do something amazing together. And I'm inviting you to join me, right?
So how do you measure, I've heard the term, culture is an early indicator of performance.
Yeah.
Do you have any scenarios where you've measured something and now, a year later, 6 months later, you've seen some progress?
My biggest success story, I would say, is understanding that strategic HR leadership, culture leadership models, people think, oh, that's for big business. No. One of my first managed services clients was 23 employees when they approached me, right? And that leader said, I want to grow a business, I want to launch and scale something, and they were on a journey. And they invited me in very early on to help them scale that. 3 years later, not only are they on the winners list 3 years consecutive here in Chicagoland as being the best place to work, but they've actually scaled and grown, and they're in different states now, right? To start early and build a strong foundation is key. And sometimes people forget that you don't just need your strategic HR person when you have 200, 300, 400, 500 employees. No, let's start like right now.
Build it and build off of it.
That's right. Build a strong foundation and reinforce it.
Yeah, I believe that big companies obviously need better culture, and they'll become better companies, but if a small company has a bad culture, there might not be a company.
That's right.
So whether you're 2 people or whether you're thousands of people, culture is critical.
Absolutely. Every single person that I send out on my behalf, they're a brand ambassador. They represent me. And many people seem to forget that every single person is representing their business, representing the fabric of what their business represents. And that's an opportunity. A good example is remember when LinkedIn came around?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Remember all the people that were like, oh my gosh, we need to put policies in place and we need to shut down the IT so basically people can't get to Facebook when they're at work, and right? That's a mentality of fear, and really the best places to work, the people who understand that people are their ambassadors, that people can bring people into their business. They actually were holding workshops in their businesses saying, yeah, and here's LinkedIn, and here's how you use it, and here's how you set up your profile, and here's how you represent. Do you guys have any questions? Great, go build some connections.
I can imagine what it's like hiring millennials and not allowing them to use social media.
Oh my gosh, and there's actually still businesses trying to do that. That's what's crazy.
Yeah, which makes absolutely no sense in terms of recruiting the best and the brightest, but telling them they can't do what they love doing.
Right. And then, truly having even your application and your onboarding process archaic, right? They start going, okay, this business is boring, oh my goodness, right? You need to really start to onboard and change your entire HR strategy to speak to the different generations that are in the workplace today. Not only in terms of how you onboard and attract talent, but actually the transition of knowledge right now between boomers to Gen Xers to millennials and businesses to build skills. Each of them prefer to learn in a different way. And that's a whole other element in businesses today.
What's the best practice that you see? So if you're talking to a business owner out there and you're having the conversation around people, culture, growth, what's the best practice that if they did one thing tomorrow, their business would get a little bit better?
I think they need to take it a little bit further and actually understand that those private discussions they have about strategy and our strategic priorities this year, they actually need to take the time to take those strategic priorities down to every single level and help somebody understand how they can have a handprint on it.
So every employee plays a part in the future blueprint of the strategy.
Yeah. In terms of that organizational leadership, inviting people to contribute to that. Because no one goes down that journey of vision and mission without people. You gotta stop and invite them in and help them understand how to contribute to that. And a lot of people don't stop to break that down to that level.
I kind of look at a business as, the owner is the orchestra leader and then everybody plays a part. And if one group of instruments don't get to do their part, the song doesn't sound the same.
Right. Very similar, yeah.
And whether you're the oboe player or the clarinet player or the trumpet player, you're all equally important to the final product.
Right, absolutely. And so I think that has a lot to do with communication, has a lot to do with bringing people into that and stopping for that. And sometimes people are just like, it's just about service quality and time. Well, what is service, what is quality, what is time? And what is it to this department and that person?
Right. Yeah. So what does the industry look like in 5 years? Obviously, culture's coming more and more popular. Everybody's talking about it. There's tools that are out there. There's certifications that are out there.
Absolutely.
What happens in 5 years from now? What changes?
I absolutely think that the businesses that don't tie into employee value proposition today and have a strategy around it and understand that people are their greatest asset and they start managing their business that way, the talent won't reside in their business within 5 years because the talent's going to pick where it wants to be. And right now, true talent has already started moving. There's a lot of movement right now, right? So you take it 5 years down the road, that'll have probably settled out a little bit, and it'll be interesting to see the businesses that are growing and thriving based on the fact that the talent's with them.
Talk about tools. So I know you've seen some tools recently. What's going on in the industry that's allowing you to better measure, better manage?
Yeah. What's interesting is I've always been about qualitative and quantitative metrics. I've had a synergy with Hunter Own Best and Brightest companies to work for a number of years now. And I've always been about that. I love that the metrics are starting to actually go even deeper in terms of what metrics actually drive financial performance in businesses. What are those things? Everybody's like engagement. Well, engagement's only 1/5 of the puzzle, right? What about job satisfaction? What about alignment to organizational values? What about collaboration? What about personal growth and development? There's your pie, right? Are you measuring all those things? And are you actually correlating to your financial baselines? That's exciting. When you can bring that to every business, not just big business, to every business. Right. Now we're talking.
Is that resonating with the owners?
Yeah, I think that some owners are actually starting to just start to feel the pulse of, is that possible? Can I do that? How can you correlate that data? And because some of this is new to some of the smaller businesses, right? Big business has big metrics for a long time. They have business intelligence, right? I like to take powerful tools like this and put it in the hands of any business that wants to speak this language. That's the power of leveraging, leveling, can't even say the word, that playing field, level the playing field so that these businesses can actually compete on a level playing field against retaining talent, developing talent, and going to market.
The cool thing with technology today is little companies can get access to the same tools as big companies,
yes.
and if they could make changes quickly, it's pretty dramatic to the bottom line.
Absolutely, and it's exciting to be a part of it.
So last thought for the audience is, what would you like to leave them with as we get close to the end of the show?
Yeah, I think that, it's exciting. We're going into the fourth quarter right now, and it's a great opportunity and time of year for businesses really to stop and say, Are we having a kickoff for 2015? Did we invite our people into that? What are we going to put in front of those people? And how are we going to invite them on the journey with us and let them know that we're committed to it? That's what I would say.
Awesome. Well, Nicole certainly brings a ton of energy and passion towards this subject. I appreciate you spending some time with me.
Thank you,
And
Barry.
great to see you again.
Yes, always.
Thank you.